Guten Tag, we have returned once again today to look at the first episode of March Comes In Like a Lion, which is kind of a different title, but I like it. And this is the show done by Shaft, which is also directed by Shimbo. Because Shimbo does everything that Shaft, apparently. That's one of those things I always completely forget, but mostly you see his name on Shimbo shows, on Shaft shows. So, no idea what he's going to bring. Is it going to be a more subdued Shaft show? Or is it going to be like most Shaft shows and have camera angles coming out of his asshole? Because, mate, Shaft shows, like, there are camera angles. Like, cool. One of the best things about the Shaft shows is just, like, the freaking cinematography. It's like, man, you want to calm down a little bit there. Yeah, so, no idea what it's going to bring. Hopefully it brings me some good stuff, because I am quite excited. It's also a two-course show, which is kind of neat. So, no idea what anime can bring. Whether or not the pacing might just be a little bit... Might be one of those really slow-paced shows, because it's actually a slice of life. So, might be a really fast-paced show, because it's actually Shimbo. One cannot tell at this stage. One needs to wait until that stage of, oh, freaking hell. Mate, camera, come on. There we are. It was going a bit strange. So yeah, we've got to wait until we see what this anime will bring. Apparently it does a lot of self-advertisement, which is actually kind of interesting for a Shaft show. I'm not too sure or not. I've seen that before, so it might be a little bit interesting. So, without further ado, let us begin this live reaction. Alright, I'll go and find it because I've got live events still open apparently. Alright. So it's actually called Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. So it's called a Kiriyama, and then Chapter 2 is called The Town Along the River. Also quite like the title of March Comes In Like a Lion. It kind of is a pretty cool title. Alright, so we're going to start this fracking thing in 3, 2, 1. Let us begin now. Bit loud! This bloody thing was so quiet. I just got it. Blew my eardrums. Alright. No, it's a Shaft show. Those angles are still there. Alright, when you hit the opening. Alright, doesn't take much imagination, does it? We've got a silhouette of a dude, we've got some rivers. I like it already. That feels like it kind of feels... March comes in like a lion. I love it. I love it. Isn't it like a... It's like a lion, as I say. I don't know if I said like an lion. It's a lion. The opening's pretty cool. I quite like it. It's one of those subdued openings. Just kind of sounds really nice. It's like... I don't know how to explain it. It kind of suits the open. It's bumper chicken. It's bumper chicken. Oh, it's a new Kikai Sensen's opening. Oh, this is interesting. Well, the opening's got a lot of symbolism to it. And it's going to be one of those openings if you want to dissect it quite a bit. It's also very Shaft. That actually makes any sense, actually, kind of, as a comparison. It's very Shaft. Quite cool opening, I like it. Damn Shaft shows in their openings, always got some of the best openings. Let's see, now I was fearing whether or not this is actually going to be a Shaft show, but fracking hell. That is a pretty cool frame. Give me like a bloody thumbnail at the very first minute. You just know the Shaft shows like they're really extreme close-ups on the eyes of one eye. Like they always have that in most of their shows. I've noticed that recently. Oh, all right, Shaft. We know you're good at animation. He's gonna say like March comes in like a lion, and it's just the end of the anime. 3D door. It feels very slice of life. It feels very at home at Shaft because it kind of almost really works for them. If that makes any sense. Like its slice of life show really does fit the bill of a Shimbo show. A Shimbo can just make a slice of life seem really fracking interesting because some people just can't. A Shimbo just can. That makes any sense. I'm not even too sure it makes any sense what I just said. It's a very stylish show though. Wow, that is some self promotion right there. So fracking hell, my face is on the screen. I think Saturday might be just be the best day for anime. With Cultic 9 and this, thus far. Quite like it. It's very first like 10 minutes, but still. Quite like it. Hello to 3 viewers that just joined. Quite like the close-ups of the actual drink. I have no idea how to explain it, but I like it. He's gonna like defeat him at that game. He had the face of mate, you're going down. It's very Shimbo. I think I kind of find a little bit strange about the animation is the mouths, because I don't remember like he's feeling sad or he's just feeling completely like composed. I don't know, it just feels kind of weird because it also seems like the narrative. It doesn't seem like the actual show's telling you all the events for the narrative. It's allowing you to piece it together just using what the animation is showing you. The narrative is getting shown just through animation, which is actually kind of neat. It's actually a nice way to actually kind of just show you everything about the story without physically throwing it in your face. I'm guessing he had a friend, the friend just left, and he feels extremely sad. So I've just pieced together. Oh well, you didn't have the face of I'm going to defeat you at this game. I've actually lost. Was he hasn't spoken once for its whole entire episode as well. There's an area of mystery on his character. You just don't know truly what he's actually feeling. Like the past is very much there, but it's how he's feeling in this one section we don't really kind of know as of yet. I'm guessing he's not completely in the correct mindset. Oh, he just spoke. Yeah. It's such a beautiful anime though. Like he got shafted by a text. Look at the moon. Look how good it looks. It's one of those really kind of tiny details, but fracking hell, it's amazing. Wait, is she voiced by Kana Hanazawa? Can't take that's her name. Did you just give a voice to the cat? That's not Kana Hanazawa. It sounds very similar to her. Though it's quite shafty, it almost feels very different kind of shaft. It's like a more stylized shaft show. I quite like the fact they're giving a voice to the cats. Was that more than to be a breathing character in the world itself? Stuff the way the moon looks. That's amazing. Everything looks very stylized, but just the moon looks amazing. That's half the show done. It's got quite a nice pacing. I quite like it. It isn't too slow, neither is it too fast. It's just in the middle. It's quite good. I quite like her. She's kind of cool. He's actually eating the big ball as well. Holy crap! Is that Reagan? It's not him. It sounds just like him. I quite like this show. Not gonna lie. When's Half-Life 3 going to come out? That's what he's thinking. got quite a beautiful style to it, doesn't it? Oh, that was March. That was March comes in like a lion. Kind of interesting. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't expect that. I thought it was gonna be kind of a subdued show, but it looks like there's a lot going on behind closed doors. So, kind of like how they present the way he thinks versus what's going on the outside. It's actually quite of a nice transition. Like always, like the kind of outside world as it's presented is quite like lively and quite happy, but his actual mindset completely changes that. I think it's actually a nice transition. I think it's actually quite well done. It doesn't feel too jarring because we want to know how he feels in that one section. We want to know what he thinks. But the outside world can't always just almost evoke this whole entire idea. It can't always be doom and gloom. So it's quite nice this whole entire idea is there. This whole entire idea was quite upbeat in nature. So I quite like it. It's actually kind of neat. Sometimes it can feel jarring. You have his mindset, which is kind of different to what's going on in the outside world. And then, yeah, it feels jarring sometimes in certain cases, but here it doesn't because it really damn works because it's just that nice kind of almost difference that we need. Because it can't always be doing gloom as before. It needs this kind of lightheartedness. The way they incorporate it is actually quite well done. So, complete content. But there's like something going on in the past which is actually kind of always over him, like it's always on top of him, so it seems kind of interesting to find out what's going to happen next. Don't worry, dude, I won't. It seemed pretty cool, so I won't miss next episode. But oh Christ, on a bicycle, my ears. That was actually kind of a weird feeling. No, but it's actually a pretty freaking awesome show because I thought I was gonna get myself a subdued Shimbo show, like in essence, like Shimbo's there, but it ain't completely Shimbo. It's like Shimbo saying to himself, guys, I've got to do something different here. I've been doing like the crazy ass camera angles for the last I don't freaking know long, like too long, man. I need something different, but no, it's still very Shimbo, and it's still very Chef. I quite like the different art style as well. It looks kind of nice. And some more stylized Madoka Magica. That's what I'm kind of feeling. So I do like it, because again, one thing I always like about Shaft shows, including Shimbo shows, is how they present the scene. The scene is never boring. The scene always has something going on. If the events in the actual scene are quite like in essence, not everything is as interesting as you would hope, the actual way they're presented does elevate that kind of boredom beyond just feeling like it's boring. It feels like it's life presented in the scene. It actually works really damn well. So so on top of that, I do like the fact they didn't actually kind of subdue the shafty nature to their shows. They kind of went with it and actually kind of elevated it. So it doesn't kind of almost feel like every other slice of life show that doesn't kind of fully do too much and doesn't actually kind of just reel you in. This one kind of reels you in by just being a shaft show. Like, in essence, I felt right at home watching it because it's very shafty. So that's how I feel. It's very shafty. Like, if that's a correct analogy to actually use for this kind of context. But I really kind of am digging the show. Like, kind of want to go read the actual... What about dislike? Right. Let's kind of go and actually read the actual synopsis, because I always go into these things blind. I don't ever go into these things knowing a lot about the show, because I feel like sometimes if you don't know a lot about the show, it actually works out a lot better than knowing too much about the show. If that makes any sense. I'm not even too sure. Also, side note, if anyone actually wants to watch anything free, and you actually live in America, Hulu actually is kind of doing their job to bring a lot more shows to the mainstream. Like, in essence, I've seen a lot more shows being released on there than ever before. Like, I was like, damn. So if anyone actually wants to watch this legit, like kind of legally, you're gonna get adverts. That's your problem. But if you sign up, freaking hell, I don't know. If you sign up, you don't get adverts. But if you do want to watch it free and you kind of want to watch it legally, then watch it that way, because it actually is kind of neat. Don't have every single show. Don't go thinking, oh, I'm gonna get every single show, because they don't. Ones I've seen actually have quite a few of them. Right. It got really itchy nose though. Don't know why. Alright, let's go and read the synopsis. Oh, yeah, Mahou Shoujo Ikesu. The Magical Rising Girl project will be out tomorrow, so don't worry. Or Monday. Don't really worry about it. The other two that I normally do today will be coming out tomorrow. So, right, okay. So, Rei Kiriyama is a 17-year-old boy who recently started living alone, financed by his salary as a professional shogi player. Despite his independence, however, he's yet to mature emotionally, and his problems continue to haunt him in his daily life. His relationship with his adopted family is strained, and he has difficulties interacting with his fellow high school students. Meanwhile, his professional career has entered a slump, burdened by a heavy expectations placed on him as the fifth to become pro middle school. He wins and loses are fluctuating as his record progression to ranks stagnate. Acquainted with Rei are the three Kawato sisters, Akari, Hinata, and Momo. Unlike Rei, they live happily in their modest home, with which they warmly welcome Rei into, as if he were one of their own. Despite his reservations of coming too close to the family, he frequently visits, interacting with them and receiving the kind of care and affection he never quite had under his foster home. Yeah, so that's what I was getting originally. That's what I was getting at, like, before I started speaking. It's the way that they kind of present that family versus how he thinks himself. It's actually kind of a neat way to actually kind of present how lively, how happy this family really is versus how he's truly feeling inside his head. Actually kind of a nice transition. It's not kind of always doom and gloom. It's not just constantly just reminding us, well, this guy is always feeling this, because there's also this warm feeling. There's also this family going on outside. So he actually does feel welcome. He probably doesn't emotionally feel like he's welcome, but he actually is welcome to the family. So it's actually kind of neat. It's actually a really, really nice way to present it. So I kind of give my props to Shaft, because it's actually a nice juxtaposition between both things. Because again, sometimes it can feel jarring putting comedy and drama together into one scene. Like, it has been shown, like Drifters, for example. Drifters is a prime example of sometimes when comedy doesn't work against the other actions that are going on in the scene. Here it works really damn well, so I do like how they're incorporating it. So hopefully as the time goes on, it actually does continue in this vein. It doesn't actually kind of go down the route of being kind of shoehorned in. That's what I'm getting at. And I kind of do want to know more about the kind of family he had when he was a child, because again, it's this kind of thing. Excuse me. This kind of thing that's also ever looming over him, besides the fact that he's actually this very professional shogi player. There's actually this whole entire idea of his family and how it factors into the way he lives. And as well, I'm guessing, is the whole entire idea of his, like, kind of, I guess, what comes into play once you become such a pro at something, which is actually kind of evident in real life. It's one of those things that I'm guessing anyone ever becomes pro at something, or it's, take for example an actor. If an actor's always known for making pretty freaking awesome stuff, and he makes that one bad thing, it's going to haunt him. So the expectations people do have for a person can actually affect the person mentally. So I'm guessing as the series goes on, it will explore this whole entire idea and be a quite evident plot point, because it could be really freaking interesting to see how everyone else sees him. Everyone else expects that, okay, that this guy, he's pretty freaking good at shogi, so he's going to win that game. If he doesn't win that game, I don't know what to expect anymore. So that's that kind of idea, and maybe if he loses, what they think of him. So it's actually going to be a really nice thing to actually kind of gravitate towards. If that's the case, then so be it. I'll be completely content, because it could be a nice kind of counter to what's really going on. It kind of would then also be a nice thing to actually kind of explore how he truly feels after that game, how he truly feels once he loses. Does it actually kind of affect him to a point that he can't ever kind of get that slump for a very long time? Does he get stuck in it for a very long time and just kind of doesn't do anything, just kind of just sits there almost as if he can't get out? So it could be really, really nice. It could explain it very, 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 very abstractly, like a very Shaft way of doing it. In essence, not really kind of telling you up front, this is how he's truly feeling, but kind of explain it just using animation. Because again, it's one of those things that Shaft's really good at, is not explaining it through words, explaining it through animation and what's explained on the screen. It's not showing you through like kind of narration. It doesn't kind of, it's not tell, don't show. It's very much show, don't tell. That's the kind of thing I get from Shaft. It's that kind of idea that they kind of just show you rather than just tell you, because they want you to get your own kind of interpretation of what's really going on in that scene. Especially that scene when he's actually playing shogi against that dude, and it was showing you his childhood. It wasn't ever telling you through like kind of speech. It was just showing you through animation. It was showing you but not telling you. And I think it's actually kind of a neat way to actually kind of express what's really going on in that scene, because a lot of the time in animation, in anime and films, a lot of the things get beat at you through narration. As again, I do sing its song and praise, but Mob Psycho 100 did heavily rely on narration. Granted, that's a different case altogether, because I think if it didn't rely on narration, I don't think it would work too well. But bad example, but some examples of shows, there's examples of shows that really just heavily rely on narration to kind of just tell you how that character is feeling at that one section. It doesn't really work too well, because how a character is feeling or what's going on truly in that scene could be expressed in any different way, shape, or form. It doesn't need to be expressed through narration or anything like that. Speech kind of almost takes away from the true thing that's going on. If it's just explained through pictures, animation, or cinematography, it almost kind of elevates that meaning. I've got more from my room, just realized. And it kind of elevates that meaning. It kind of almost works a lot better. So I do kind of like what Shaft does. Shaft doesn't always kind of rely on conventions. They kind of break those conventions. It always works really damn well. So completely content with what Shaft's actually doing, because it's not just telling you straight away. It wants you to gather a meaning. It wants you to gather what you truly think that scene means. So I'm completely content with what Shaft does. Like, Shaft's one of my favorite studios. Probably my third favorite behind Madhouse, and then first kind of being Bones, and fourth being JC Staff. But yeah, I just really do like what they do. I think they're one of the best studios at kind of presenting shows differently, because they kind of choose the shows which will allow them to almost have the best artistic reign at what they could do. Because some shows you wouldn't imagine that would have so much stuff going on in one scene always does. Example, Nisekai. I didn't expect too much from that show, but frack hell, there was a lot going on in that show. But this one seems like it could have been a straightforward show done by any other studio, but because it's done by Shaft, it works a lot better, is what I'm trying to get at. It works a lot better than, say, if, I don't know, these other studio could have done it. That wouldn't probably have done it. I think it's down to the director. I think it's because of Shimbo's vision. It kind of almost elevates the whole entire thing beyond that point. Plus, Shaft's animation just even escalates that beyond that point. Again, it's not just boring. It's stuff's always going on. It's always doing something different to actually kind of entice you to continue watching. It's not just bland and boring. Certain slice of life shows don't ever do anything that kind of elevates it beyond being kind of boring. That's why I think a lot of people didn't like Flying Witch. But difference here is stuff's going on, so it always constantly almost keeps you enticed to continue with the show. So if my ramblings do make any sense, then that's what I mean. That's what I'm getting at. So yes, that was March Comes In Like a Lion, and it came like a lion, very much so. So yes. With all that said, I have indeed been the driver. Do not worry, the rest of the live thingy-majigs, I don't know what to call these things. Do I want to call it live reactions? I want to call them like live reactions / reviews. I'm not even too sure. But those things will be coming out tomorrow. Do not worry. Tomorrow and Monday, because I'm not too sure what's coming out tomorrow. I took a Rambo, Iron Blood Orphans, and Aoni, I think it is. Tomorrow. So those are there. So that's that. So I don't know what else is coming out tomorrow. So I'll probably just filter them in using that. So yes. Got to hair out my eyes. I was constantly going blind during that. Excuse me. So, if you have enjoyed the live stream as a whole, and you do leave a like, do leave a like, because indeed, it does help me quite a bit. If you have enjoyed my content as a whole, and you kind of enjoy what I do here, and you want to leave a sub, do leave a sub, because indeed, it does help me quite a bit. And I think we're only about 2-ish free subscribers away from 500. So, if we can get there, that'd be pretty neat by the end of the weekend. So, yes. With all that said, I have indeed been a driver, and I shall see you guys tomorrow. See you guys then. Bye for now.